If you've ever tried adjusting a regulator and your watch still won't run right, you're not alone. Most people that are new, they approach regulation the same way. They find a timing machine, they nudge the regulator towards zero, and they call it done. But here's what almost nobody tells you before you start: moving the regulator doesn't fix the rate, it just moves the problem somewhere else. Now, before you touch anything, there's three things you need to understand. And I'm Alex, and this is Watch Repair Tutorials. Now, before you even decide to try to regulate a movement, there's really three things that you need to understand. The first is that you need to have realistic expectations of how accurate the movement can be. And this is really based on the quality of the movement as well as its age and the condition of the parts. Now, in our example, we're going to use an NH movement because, well, it's really popular in low-cost movements, and it's really popular in the mod community, people who build their own watches. Now, TMI spec sheets list the delivered accuracy somewhere between negative 20 seconds a day and plus 40 seconds a day. And that's a pretty big window, right? Well, here's the important thing that you got to remember. That 60-second window exists because the movement ships unregulated. The factory number isn't a regulated average. It's a raw, as-delivered tolerance. The NH line is designed to be regulated downstream, either by the brand putting it in their watch, a modder building a watch, or a watchmaker who's working on it. It's the responsibility of the brand, or you as the buyer, to regulate the movement. That's why that window is so wide. Now, I can tell you from my own experience, having now probably regulated hundreds of these things over the years, if you took 100 movements that came directly from the manufacturer, 20 of them are going to be really, really good. 20 of them are just going to suck, and the other 60 or so are going to be somewhere in the middle. Now, this has to do primarily with how well the balance wheel and the hairspring are matched together at the factory. Now, you would think in today's manufacturing excellence that the tolerances for every balance wheel would be the same, and every hairspring would be made exactly the same. But that's not the way it works. If that were true, there would be no reason to have a regulator on the movement. So the first thing is set reasonable expectations. You can't expect a $50 watch movement to perform like a $500 Swiss chronometer. It could, and it does sometimes. Just don't be disappointed if yours doesn't. I think probably the number one common mistake that I see is people trying to regulate a watch that just isn't ready to be regulated. Sure, if you're working on a brand new movement, you should be able to regulate it. But if you're buying a vintage watch off eBay, or you grab a watch that's been sitting in a drawer for 3 or 4 years, it's most likely not going to happen. Watches need to be in a certain condition before you can regulate them. And you don't have to take my word for it. What I'm going to tell you is straight out of the book, The Theory of Horology, which is the textbook that every watchmaking school in the world uses. Now, in order for a watch to be regulated, number one, there can't be any magnetism. The gear train, it has to be completely free, and all the end shake and side shake have to be correct. The escapement has to be set up properly, and it needs to function correctly. Bigger problem in vintage watches, not so much in new. The hairspring, it has to be centered and it has on the collet, and it has to be flat in parallel to the balance cock. The gap between the regulator pins, that needs to be parallel. And you want a gap as small as possible between those pins and the hairspring, but not so much that it pinches the hairspring, right? Now, the watch also, it needs to be in beat. The movement, it needs to be cleaned and it needs to be freshly oiled. The amplitude needs to run steady from a full wind. When the watch is at a full wind, there shouldn't be any knocking while it's in a horizontal position. And then, after the movement's been running for 24 hours, the amplitude should not be lower than 190 degrees. And this is primarily for an automatic movement. Now, in my experience, the single biggest reason a beginner can't get a watch to regulate is that the watch just needs a service. All right? It doesn't need an adjustment. Regulation is the last step of service, not a step that you skip past. A mechanical watch does not run at one rate. It runs at a different rate in every position it's in. That could be dial up or dial down, crown up, crown left. It doesn't matter. Each position produces a different rate on the time grapher. Now, sometimes the difference is only a few seconds, and sometimes it could be 20 or 30 seconds. It just depends. The primary reason for this is gravity and added friction. In the horizontal positions, dial up, dial down, the tips of the balance staff, they rotate on end stones, and then the balance is spinning in a flat plane. Now, the forces of friction and gravity, they're the same in both of these horizontal positions, and that's really why the rates should be almost identical. But in the vertical positions, gravity pulls the pivots against the sides of the jewel holes, which increases the amount of friction, and then gravity, well, it acts on the parts of the balance spring and parts in the escapement. And that all really depends on which way the movement is facing or angled, and it changes. Okay, so here's what happens. Most beginners, they measure the rate dial up on the bench. They're going to nudge the regulator towards zero, call it done. Then they put the watch on and they find that the rate that they're getting doesn't match what they saw on the time grapher. And this is not because they did anything wrong so much as they didn't account for the other positions that the watch is naturally going to be running in during the course of the day. Now, for watchmakers, the number that matters the most is called the delta rate. And the delta rate is the spread, right, between the highest and the lowest rate you measure across all the positions you're testing. So if a watch has a delta of 5 seconds, it's going to perform consistently, no matter what position it's in. But if you have a watch that has a delta of, say, 25, well, that's a different animal, and it's probably not going to keep very good time. Now, here's something that surprises a lot of people when they first hear it, and that is that moving the regulator, it doesn't change that delta rate. All you're doing is it's shifting all the positional rates together, up or down as a group. You're not fixing the spread. You're not lowering the rate. You're just repositioning it. Now, as an example, if you have a movement and dial up is running +8 and crown left is -4, your delta's 12, right? Now, if you move the regulator, both those numbers are going to shift. You might move your regulator towards the minus sign, so your dial position is now down at 0. But that crown left position is probably going to drop 8 seconds as well, going from -4 to -8. So you really haven't improved anything because your delta is still the same. Now, once you understand that, the whole regulation process starts to make a little bit more sense. And you know what you're actually trying to achieve. Now, in the next video, I'm going to walk you through the full process, step by step, what to measure, how to make adjustments, and how to know when you're done. And because there's so much more to learn, I hope to see you in that next video.